So Apple has finally announced a brand new iMac, and while it seems like a great update on the whole, guys, I was left a little disappointed we did not get a higher end spec or a iMac Pro. So let's delve into this. Now, I do want to emphasize I am still happy with this iMac refresh. It's not a revolutionary upgrade by any means, but as far as spec upgrades go, this is pretty solid. M3 compared to M1 is a substantial upgrade, especially with the GPU. You also get higher RAM configurations, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3 support, USB-C accessories, and overall this is a worthy refresh I can recommend to those in the market for an all-in-one. And the great thing about the M3 iMac is that, as per usual guys, when a new version of a product line comes out, the older model becomes a lot cheaper. And so for those who don't really need the performance upgrades with the M3 SoC, you can now find the M1 iMac for less, which is great news considering the outgoing models are very similar products, and in terms of regular usage, you actually won't notice that big of a difference. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. However, I was hoping that to compensate for the lack of an iMac Pro, we would get the option to get the M3 Pro in this iMac. Like I've explained in recent videos, Apple has done this in the past with the 21.5-inch iMac, where you could upgrade it with higher-end CPU and GPU options for pro workflows, and so I really think they should have done the same with the 24-inch iMac. Now yes, I know some are gonna say this is the desktop version of a MacBook Air, so it shouldn't get pro-level chipsets, but I get comments often from you guys waiting for an iMac Pro since the base-level chips just don't offer enough power for your workflow, which is very fair. So yes, I think M3 Pro in this existing size could have been nice for that demographic till we get the iMac Pro. I know you can get the Mac Mini or the Studio instead, but that's not the same thing for those wanting the all-in-one experience. But you probably want to hear more about the mysterious iMac Pro. When is this bloody thing releasing? We have been hearing about this machine since the conception of Apple Silicon, and guess what guys? It's still coming soon. Quo and Gurman in their new reports say a higher-end iMac could be released in 2025. Yes, I said 2025, and could come with a 32-inch mini LED panel. Now, I do want to mention guys, in the past there has been some confusion between new iMacs and Apple's standalone displays. For example, in 2022 we heard a lot about a 27-inch LCD iMac in the works, but that turned out to be the studio display instead. And so I would not be surprised if leakers suddenly start saying, hey, that 32-inch iMac actually isn't a thing, it's the new Pro display. But hey, let's hope this is the new iMac at last, because I've been reporting on this for years, and this large iMac won't just be a bigger version of the 24-inch, there will actually be a few differences. For one, we could see black bezels, since this is supposed to be the more pro-level machine, and pros can't live with disgusting white bezels, and so I'm sure to some this could actually be an upgrade of sorts with this larger size. I'll be honest though, I used to hate how the 24-inch iMac looked, but the white bezels have grown on me, and overall I now think it's a clean design. And so I wouldn't mind if the large iMac looked identical, but considering it should get internal upgrades, I think there are going to be black bezels to fit the Pro aesthetic, along with a midnight finish. In fact, I don't think there'll be any color choices because Apple thinks pros don't want fun colors, they want different shades of grey instead. So yeah, this should essentially look like the old iMac Pro we had, but without the Apple logo on the front, and also slimmer bezels. The chin could disappear, but I think it will stay considering it's the iconic look that distinguishes the iMac from the competition. But now let's talk about the internal upgrades, because unlike the 24-inch model that only comes with the base level M series chipsets, the 32-inch iMac with its larger thermal envelope could support the Max and Pro variants of Apple's chips, and so this very much will be an alternative option to the Mac Studio and Mac Mini. You can either have the flexibility of a desktop and have the computer and monitor separate devices, or you could pay less and just get the all-in-one experience that's less cluttered. Now yes, I'm aware this iMac might sound like a worse deal on paper because when it does lose support, that display becomes redundant, whereas with a Studio Display and Mac Studio combo you can of course continue using the display till it stops working. However, I think some just prefer a less cluttered, all-in-one experience, and considering the iMac is a famous product line in Apple's range, they can't really kill this off completely. Plus, with the era of Apple Silicon, you don't have to worry too much about support. This hypothetical iMac Pro could get updates for a decade, and so you're still getting your money's worth with this machine. Now, I know some people in the comments of my previous videos have said they want Apple to offer a base version of this larger iMac for those who don't need the additional performance, but I think the chances are pretty low of that happening. Frankly, all-in-ones are not very popular, guys, and so to offer tons of different variants that appeal to a small portion of consumers within an already small niche of the market doesn't make sense for Apple. And so if you want the bigger screen, you will have no option but to pay the extra for the additional performance. To be fair, this was the case before Apple Silicon. The 27-inch iMacs always had more power under the hoods compared to the 21.5-inch iMacs, and so it makes sense for Apple to continue doing this, in my opinion. Plus, if you really want the big display experience for less, just get the Mac Mini and any 27-inch display, and boom, you basically have a 27-inch entry-level iMac. Anyways, how much could this iMac Pro be? Well, no one's really told us that yet, but I'm gonna theorize it could be somewhere between $2,500 to $3,000. That is steep, but do remember this iMac will basically be on par with a 16-inch MacBook Pro in terms of performance, and should also offer a much larger mini LED display with it, and so I feel like the price is justified. Also, since the Mac Studio is now in the range, anything lower than $2,500 could cannibalize that machine, and so I think somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 would make the most sense. So that's everything regarding this larger iMac Pro, and I'm just hoping there are no more delays and we actually get the final product in 2025. But it is crazy, we're not getting updates for the iMac range very often. This M3 model, for example, is launching nearly 3 years after the M1 model was introduced. But I guess that signifies something I've always thought was the case, and that's the fact many don't buy all-in-ones. Consumers would much rather buy laptops and desktops, and Apple's rapidly updating those models because they are in demand. But because the iMac is a very iconic brand, they're keeping it for the small portion of consumers who might want it, and the handful of schools who might use it for IT lessons. But for the foreseeable future, they're gonna do the very minimum in terms of upgrades, and so basically expect more spec updates like we got right now. And once we get the iMac Pro, that also won't be updated as often. I will say though, considering this year is the 25th anniversary of the iMac, it would have been perfect to release the iMac Pro this year, but oh well guys, hopefully it does release within the next year or so. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.